Alrighty guys, welcome to Quarters Theory. Quarters Theory, brief little explanation about Quarters Theory. Quarters Theory is another form of psychological support and resistance. As you guys can see already in the title and the name, Quarter Theory, quarter being 25, as you guys can see, and theory as a form of psychology. So Quarters Theory, a psychological form of support and resistance by the quarter. We use these psychological forms of support and resistance, these little key levels, to really focus on these levels because those levels sometimes can help and also be a part of your confluence. So as you guys can see through Quarters Theory, you can see that right off the bat, we have another form of psychological support and resistance. Yes, I know I just repeated that. But you can kind of see already that during Forex, there is a lot of forms of support and resistance. So this is another one. I do personally know people that don't use this. I use this. Sometimes I don't use it, but it's cool to have, especially when price is near it and you're in a trade and it's in confluence with your entry. So also, it's really cool to have sometimes because sometimes price can be right at your entry, like let's say golden zone, but a Quarters Theory point or level is right under it. You can kind of sometimes see and realize like, hey, look, since these things are like magnets and they seem to always find their way back to retest these levels, you can also kind of sometimes have in the back of your mind a form of relaxation or like confidence, like, hey, look. So what are we going to do right now is we have this chart right here. And one thing about Quarters Theory is it works really good on pound pairs. It does work on every single pair, indices as well, as you guys can see. I will show you guys in the next few videos. These videos won't be super long and they won't be super hard to understand. It is very easy. But let's start off by drawing this horizontal line that goes into the future and the past to future. So no, we're not just going to throw it anywhere. Quarters Theory, what are we going to do is after we draw our horizontal line, we're going to double click it and we're going to start with the first one, which is the 3 zeros. In this situation, it is 1.24000. Boom. Now, just drawing it and throwing it there, what do you see off the bat right here? Notice how price came, touched it, and wicked right up and rejected it. Now, let's see when we do our Fibonacci right here. Look at that. Boom. What is here? Price came to our golden zone, rejected it, came back down, but we had this Quarters Theory point right here. We can actually draw these blue just so that way it looks a little bit cleaner on the chart. We can draw it blue really quick. And notice how price already left the golden zone, but it came back down and retested this really important level, which is 1.24, also a Quarters Theory point, which is a form of psychological support and resistance. And as you guys can see here, it just completely reversed, went to retest it, shot right back up after it failed to break through and close under. So that is a very cool thing. Also, if you look here in the past, price did try to break above here, but continued to melt. So now let's go to the 4-hour time frame. And let's look at this Quarters Theory point on the 4-hour. So notice how price sometimes consolidates around it. Now look at that. Let's go to the 1-hour. Look at this. What do we have? We have a break. Boom. As you guys can see, multiple rejections to this resistance. Price making a new low. This low closing above under all these lows right here. As you guys can see, we have a pullback. Let's go to 30-minute. We have a pullback into the zone after creating new lower lows on smaller time frames as well. And boom, we rejected the golden zone right here. Let's drag this down. Now it makes sense on a 30-minute more. And boom, price is 2 1.24000, 1.24000, and boom, right next to the golden zone. As you guys can see, we did break through, but came right back down, which was the rejection on the 1 hour. And as you guys can see, we reversed all the way back and started melting. Now let's go over here. Look at this. Notice how price is rejecting multiple times this quarters theory point. Multiple times. Notice that. So it's not just one point. They are by the quarter, which means every 25 pip increments, we will have one there. In this situation, it is at 1.24000. So the next one would be 1.24250, the next quarter. So how do we draw them? Like I said, guys, we go to the horizontal line. We will throw it there, and then we will edit it. On a computer, you will double click it. On your phone, you will just hold it and drag it. So we will go to style, text, coordinates, 250. Boom. Now what? Let's see how the 250 quarter point is reacting. In this situation, we don't have nothing. Nothing reacting to the quarter point. What we do have also is these two candles right here that did respect it after breaking it. So one thing that I do want to tell you guys is when it comes to quarters point is not just because you make a new high and then break, you're going to continue to the upside. Not always. That's not how it works. Basically, what I recommend everybody do with these forms of psychological support and resistance is don't depend on them. Remember, you guys can't depend on these things. What you need to do is you need to always kind of use them as confidence, because if you depend on them every single time, I can guarantee you guys will win, but you will lose a lot too. And when you lose, it will mess with your psychology. Always kind of have them in your favor. Always kind of have them there just for confidence and security. In this situation, beautiful. As you guys can see, if we would have took a buy here after breaking and retesting this form of resistance, as you guys can see, boom, it just kept going, but came right back down and tested this next quarter point, completing a Fibonacci move. Let's highlight the zone really quick. Let's see what happened right there. Let's see what happened right there at this quarter point right there, 250. Let's see what happened. Boom, we broke above on a 15-minute, came back down, retested it, kept going up, came back down and retested again, closing up, and boom, just melted again to retest this quarter point. So like I said, guys, you don't want to depend on them, but they're good to have and they're good to rely on sometimes as a form of confidence and security. If your trade is going good, if it seems to break under your buy zones or your sell zones and it wants to keep going and draw down, you can always kind of depend on it right there to see like, hey, look, hopefully this thing holds. But don't really just depend on it like, hey, look, yeah, I needed to hit it. Or no, because sometimes price will just, let's say quarter point could be right here and you want to enter off it, it could just come and reverse on you. And then you were depending on it to touch it and then boom. But it's good to have sometimes, most likely just in situations like, hey, look, drawdown. You know what I'm saying? Let's look for another quarter point. So far we have 2. So basically, since it is 1.24 and then 1.24, 250, the next one would be 500. We got 1 quarter, 2 quarters. So now we're at the next quarter point. Let's see how price reacts to this quarter point. As you guys can see, it is respecting it here on the 1 hour. I'm at the 30-minute and also the 1 hour. Let's go to the future. Notice how price seemed to reverse at this quarter point multiple times. Look at that. 1 time, 2 time, boom, break, reversal at this quarter point. Just straight melting through them. So you guys can see. Let me use this as a good little example, what I just said right now. As you guys can see here, if you would have entered on this quarter point, which is 1.24250, which is in the golden zone, it didn't go and touch it. It was closed, but it reversed. And look what happened. Just kept going. You missed out on this trade. But you were still in the golden zone, so you were good. In situations, something like this can happen. Okie dokie. Let's go on to the next quarter point, which is the 750 quarter point. Next quarter. Remember, we do this by every 25 pip increments. We got 1.24, 1.24 250, 1.24 500, 1.24 750. The next one, of course, would be 1.25 right up here. Let's actually draw that right there. Boom, perfect. So as you guys can see, looking at the 1.24 750 quarter point, you notice how price rejects it multiple times. Look at that. Let's go to the 4 hour, where it's a way more cleaner candle. Look at that. 1, 2. Oh my God, look at this. This was literally a massive 50 pip rejection, rejecting this quarter point, closing under this quarter point. So notice how they do act like forms of support and resistance. But remember, these are psychological forms of support and resistance. They're not something you have to like, yeah, I need this. No, you don't have to. Like I said, these things are only good to depend on and rely on as a form of confidence if you're in a losing trade, or just, hey, if it hits it and rejects it inside your buy zone, like, yeah, good. That's what's up. You know what I'm saying? So realize that, how these quarter points are completely respected and rejected. So what are we doing here in this situation? We are using them in our favor. Boom. Rejection, rejection. Look at all these rejections right there. Like, this is crazy. This is ridiculous how price does seem to respect them and reject them most of the time. So let's just draw another few quarter points right here. So since we're breaking under here in the past, pardon me, just draw the quarter point. Boom, I'm going to do this a little faster. That's the fastest way you can do it, guys, on the computer. That's the fastest way. You get the horizontal line, you drop it, boom. Edit, double click it really fast. Oops. Boom. Boom. Now look at this. Price rejecting these quarter points. Took 3 hours to break through, but kept holding strong. This quarter point also as well. Let's see what happened here. Let's go to a smaller time frame. What do we have on a smaller time frame? We have support, as you guys can see here. Real strong level of support here on a 30-minute. Oh my God. Here you go. We have a very strong level of support here, also respecting this quarter point. So using our 30-minute strategy, because remember, we are making new higher highs and we're switching the trend. Trend is going up. We had two forms of support right here in our favor to kind of scalp this. So what do we do with our support and resistance trading? As you guys can see, we break, make a new high, came back to retest this form of support, and boom, we wait for bullish candles with form of support. In this situation, this was our support. As we close above, we could have entered. Let's say right here, stops below the wicks, could have had a 30 pip stop loss. In this situation, it was 28 pips, and boom, look at that. Came, targeted this resistance, broke above, came, targeted this resistance, broke above. Now, what are we looking to the left side? We're gonna look, boom, as you guys can see, kept going up, kept going up. So now, look at this. Now that we broke above this quarter point, came back down to retest it and still closed bullish, what are we going to see? We're most likely going to see price come next to the next quarter point, because once we break through a quarter point, it's just like forms of psychological support and resistance. Once we break one form of resistance and retest it, sometimes we don't even retest it because it's just 25 pips increments sometimes, and sometimes price is not even forming a resistance or support in that level. But as you guys can see, once it breaks through, you can notice how price kept going to the next one. Now look at that. Price broke above, tried going up, couldn't, came back down, retested it, but closed, and then kept coming up. And as you guys can see, came above, broke above this one, came back down to retest it, came back down to retest it again, formed a little Fibonacci with a quarter point here and broke above, kept going up, didn't touch this one, came back down. So you can notice how price does seem to act like a magnet with these things. You know what I'm saying? And this is just the GBP USD pair. Let's go to the GBP JPY pair. I will save this for the next